It's Danny Flexen here for SecondsOut. I'd like to be joined by my good friend, former European champion and world title challenger, Wayne Alexander. Wayne, how you doing?
I'm fine, Danny. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I didn't anticipate we'd be talking again so soon on camera after you appeared on our podcast a few weeks ago. But then a video went viral yesterday showing former British champion Julius Francis nailing someone who was harassing him outside his job now, which is as a security officer at BoxPark in Wembley. I've known that he's worked there for ages. They do a lot of press conferences and weigh-ins and stuff there. And I've seen him loads of times there, talks about his career and stuff. Great guy. And you obviously work in security yourself. You know Julius pretty well from your careers, kind of around the similar times. And I just kind of wanted to get your take on what happened, because it's a video that's really captured the imagination.
Yeah, listen, the 1.5 minutes or minute I've seen of the video, Julius done the right thing. The guy was being very aggressive, verbally and physically, to staff and members of the public. I see him throw a punch at somebody in the crowd. As he was stepping out, he was still being aggressive, and Julius even opened the gate for him to walk out. Julius opened the gate for the guy to walk out, see himself out. He stepped in front of him, and the guy turned around and stepped towards Julius, and he raised his hands. He put his hand up, and Julius hit him. I mean, it was self-defense, you know. Unfortunately, you know, he didn't know who Julius was, did he? But
he does now.
You know, Julius, you know, he defended himself, and hopefully he doesn't get no punishments or no repercussions for this incident.
I asked you this when you were on the podcast, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, is that when people do know you are, and obviously in this case they didn't know Julius's background, but with you working on doors and other security jobs, do you get challenged quite often by people trying to make a name for themselves, for example?
I must admit, I never had it a lot. I had it a few times, yes, I did have it a few times. I never had to clump anyone like Julius did. I've had to like restrain people, but luckily enough, I've never really had to you know, chin somebody. You know, again, it's part of the job. You know, when you do the course to become an SIA doorman or door supervisor, you got to be prepared for anything. You know.
It must be tough because you know what you're capable of as a boxer, particularly you, because you were a huge puncher, and I'm sure you haven't lost much of that power even now, to kind of restrain yourself a little bit as well. I guess that's part of the job. Yeah,
it's part of the job. You know, back in the day, before the badge was released, before the badge came out, the SIA badge, to be a doorman, you had to be an hard man. You had to be a bit of a fighter on the street. You know, most of them had criminal records, you know what I mean? But about 20 years ago, when Tony Blair came in, he organised the SIA to basically get rid of all the so-called villains and gangsters on the door. So most of the doormen now, all doormen now haven't got a criminal record, or if they have, it's from years previously. So you do courses for anger management, which you didn't do back in the day. So basically, you are trained to restrain yourself and you know, defend yourself. You know, when you're attacked, but you know, that's the last resort is to lash out, and I think that was Julius' last resort.
And you know Julius pretty well. Like I said, your careers kind of ran parallel to each other. What can you tell us about him as a person from your experience?
I've known Julius since the early 90s. I remember watching him fight in the ABAs in the South East London divs in the ABAs in the early 90s. And then when I turned pro in 95, he was already pro. We trained together at the Peacock gym. And he was, you know, he was a very nice man, humble man, a gentle giant. You know, no one had a bad word about him. He got on with everybody. You know, he proved to be a good fighter as well. You know, he beat my mate Danny Williams. He was the first guy to beat Danny. So you know, I had a lot of respect for him, a lot of time for him, and even now, you know, I see him now and then. You know, where he works is about 5 miles from me. So even when he retired, I used to see him now and then. You know, he also done a bit of refereeing, believe it or not. So you know, I've seen him on and off, you know, since he retired from boxing. So he's a very nice guy, humble man, and he's not aggressive or violent at all. So you know, I was shocked just to see what happened, but obviously not why he done it. You know what I mean? He was self-defense.
And I imagine you can relate to it a bit as well, because you've had similar kind of people taking it to a different level when you've been trying to work in your security roles.
Yeah, listen, mate, like I said to you, it's part and parcel of the job. If you don't want to get in any confrontations, don't get a SIA badge. It's simple as that. It's probably the first time that Julius has actually hit somebody, but I don't think it's the first time he's been confronted by somebody. And like you say, you got to be prepared for all kinds of incidents when you get the badge. Wembley, Wembley is an area where it's quite lively at times, and it happened the other day. It showed what can happen.
And it seems to have been a real groundswell of support for Julius across social media. There don't seem to be many detractors or anything like that. Were you at all surprised by that? It seems almost 100% in favour of his actions. Yeah,
listen, when I first saw it, straight away I said the guy was asking for it. Looking through all the all the tweets and the replies from the video, I think out of just say 20 I read, I think one said he was out of order. He shouldn't have done that. Do you know what I mean? Probably knowing who Julius is, and knowing what Julius can do. But like I said to you before, if somebody attacks you, you got to defend yourself. So he done nothing wrong, nothing at all wrong. He defended himself. He probably felt under threat. He never knew if the guy was carrying anything. The guy had, I think, a couple of guys behind him, didn't he? I think he had a couple of mates behind him as well. So Julius ended it before he got out, really out of hand. You know what I mean?
Is that something that ever concerns you when you work one of your security jobs, that someone could be carrying a weapon, or they could be mob-handed and they all trying to attack you at the same time, that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. Especially nowadays. Like I say, nowadays, a lot of people ain't got the balls to fight with their hands. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, a lot of people will come to the venue with weapons. You know what I mean? In case if it happens, and they can pull it out. So when I was working, that was always in the back of my mind, and luckily, it never happened. The clubs I was at and the venues I was at was mainly over 21, so the crowd was more mature. But incidents still happened. But like I said, when you are security in any way, shape, or form, you have to be prepared for the worst.
And are you still doing security work now?
Not as much as I was. Now I've got my daughter. I don't do it as much. So I haven't done no work for a good 6 months. But I still got my badge, so I'm still I'm still ready and able to work. But with my daughter, it's very hard to get work now for me.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. She's your priority, isn't she?
That's it, yeah, exactly.
See her like hiding behind you, so she's not in the frame at the moment. But
she's just on her iPad, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She won't leave it alone.
It's all kids, isn't it? Wayne, really, really appreciate your time. Although it wasn't the circumstance I thought would bring us back together so soon, I'm glad you were available and we could have another chat. And let's do it again soon.
Yeah, I'm glad, mate. Like I said, keep up the good work, and hopefully I'll see you soon, mate, and speak to you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Wayne. Take care.
Thank you.